Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Friday, December 23rd, 2022. I'm astrologer Dave Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. Of course, make sure that you join highvibe.tv to get these daily horoscopes and all of the shows that I'm sure you see clips on my YouTube here, where you get the full shows. And we, of course, we're on all of our apps. You can get on all those links down below at all the app stores, or go to highvibe.tv for the best deals to get longer subscriptions at way cheaper rates. Also, I'm doing a reading sale. I haven't done a reading sale in over a year, and they're going quick. You can go to highvibe.tv, click on consultations. You'll see me up in there, and that ends literally at the end of the year. Also, our big New Year's Eve 2023 event is happening here, The Eye of the Vulgar, my 5-year big presentation. You can live stream it or, of course, be part of it. We still have some seats available here at the studios, and it's a full event for 2 days. Some awesome packages and some awesome ways to do it, and also some single tickets and easy ways to come. Super excited about that. And Hypergate, all 3 courses are on sale right now, literally in a bundle package where you can get all 3 schools, 26 classes, and it's over 100 hours of school, literally for just $300. Go check it all out. It's on highvibetvschool.com. But you can go to highvibe.tv, click on school, click on New Year's Eve, or consultations. Now, it's the new moon in Capricorn. Of course, you can watch spiritual dance music. I always do that show on YouTube. It's up. It stayed up. But we got this new moon to talk about in Capricorn, and it's a big one. And it's a major time that I'm sure you can feel turning in all of our lives. This new moon in Capricorn is happening right after the solstice just happened in Capricorn at 1 degree of Capricorn here. And we have now, of course, stepped into a cardinal energy. We are out of that Sag energy. And I got to say, this is a lot of cardinal energy for us to be stepping into. And after being in such mutable energy, and with Jupiter that was in Pisces and now ingressed back into the 0 point of Aries, we are seeing, just following the exact square from the sun to Jupiter, a new moon happening in square to Jupiter at these very, very potent spots of these cardinal points. Cardinal energy is about initiations. It's about starts. This Jupiter and Aries energy, we saw it, of course, this year, but with the retrograde back into Pisces to conjunct with Neptune, both rulers of Pisces, and now to come out of that, where are we going? What are we doing? And it's almost like too much, too fast, too soon. We have to maintain and understand that we have to be building bridges during this time, because it is still North Node conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and understanding the great quality to things that we need to be initiating in and be focused on. This is a great time to start focusing on things, since we are in Capricorn, which is about building the plan, but it's also of integrity that we need to be focused on right now in our lives. And we have Mercury and Venus that are very close to each other, and Mercury is slowing down. Mercury is going to station retrograde on the 29th of December, so we are less than a week away from a Mercury retrograde, which will be the 4th Mercury retrograde this year. We also were in a year where we had 6 planets retrograde just in the end of September into October. That is a very rare year to be in. We were in a lot of this retrograde energy, especially because of Mars being in retrograde, and we are seeing Mars in conjunction with the fixed star Aldebaran at 10 degrees of Gemini. This new moon is one where, yes, there's a lot to pay attention to initiate, to move forward in, to plan, to have integrity for, but to have meaning, to have purpose, to have destiny, to have a thing, something to reach for. And we have to take those risks still, and we have to be stepping into things. But with Jupiter being in square, we can't be forcing things too much, especially Mars is the ruler of Aries, Mars is retrograde, and Jupiter's in Mars home. Chiron, just an hour before this new moon, stationed direct in Aries. So Chiron's a big part of all this, because Chiron in Aries, of course, has been picking our scabs and continuing to think that we're building scars that we don't like, that we're not getting what we want. A lot of it has been the retrogrades of this year, the Jupiter-Neptune in Pisces, the Jupiter-Saturn in Aquarius of 2021, the Saturn-Uranus squares over the last 2 years, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of 2020, think about the last time that the new moon was here, when it was with Jupiter, was literally a solar eclipse, and that was at the end of December of 2019. Now we're at that square point in this new moon. This is the end of so many of the things, at least the first chapter of this 30-plus year craziness we are all stepping into. So things that we've been seeing for the last 3 years are starting their close in this cycle. But what's the chapter coming next is yet to be determined, but very much in coordination with the history of where astrology has been. A lot of it, World War II energy coming back up with a Mars retrograde, exactly where it was in 43 into 44, Uranus at these degrees in Taurus, exactly where we begun World War II and seeing it happen on the world front. Chiron in Aries, not only, we did see that during the Revolutionary War in the beginning and start of the Declaration of Independence, but this new moon is highlighting the Pluto return for America, and what we've seen over the last couple days under a dark moon is the beginning of America's most interesting challenge, to say the least. I'm on YouTube, so I can't be my full self here. That's why I'm on High Vibe. But I will tell you that we are needing to pay a lot more attention to things and be not on guard, but be courageous and not be afraid. The positive of this is that this is a time in your life where the things that you know, that you feel that you want to reach for, that you've been looking for in your soul, that you've been defining in your soul, that you haven't been able to fully reach yet, are all available to you. But you have to plan accordingly, and you have to play it in a way that's about strategy, not so much about what you think is the smartest move. There's a difference between being a smart chess player and a strategic chess player. And this is definitely a time in your life where to get where you need to go, you have to play all of your pieces correctly. You need to understand building bridges and maintaining bridges with people and the right people and the people that have the most value and that you learn from and that you can be connected to on all different types of relationships are so important. It's the coalitions that we're building right now that we need to pay attention to. And we also need to pay attention strategically to the coalitions that might not be on the same values as us and might be a little bit too far-fetched or too far expanding without realizing what Saturn lessons, Capricorn lessons will come. Remember that Saturn is still in Aquarius. It was just 5 years ago in a couple days that Saturn made its ingress into Capricorn, and it's still in its ruling signs, right? Saturn came into Capricorn December 19th of 2017, and here we are with Saturn still in a ruling home, Aquarius. So you've been through a lot over this last 5 years, but this new moon is in a septile to Saturn. We actually were seeing that exact septile with the ingress of the sun into Capricorn. It's technically 50 degrees now, so it's septiles have to be within 1 degree. So this one's it's right around there. But I got to say, there's a lot of very weird angles. This Ceci quadrant to Uranus, this Venus, which is the dispositor of the North Node in Capricorn, that's exactly where it was during the Venus retrograde that we finished up at the beginning of this year on January 29th when it came direct at 11 degrees, and when it went retrograde on top of Pluto in December of 2021. Now we're seeing it trine Uranus, and it's coming back over this really interesting zone that we're going to see Mercury retrograde over. So there's a lot that's still strategizing, but we're seeing in the world and we're seeing in our own lives, all the pieces, all the dominoes are starting to come together. And you have to use this moment to go, I'm picking to be on the right side. This is about not being on the right side politically, because we are seeing now a coercion of politics of all sides stepping into a uniformed code to usher in economic saving ways through war. There's too much here about war, and I don't want to get too much onto this or scare people before Christmas, but read the room, read the astrology, read the history, read and see what you got going on. Was it about Zelensky, or was it about, you now know both sides will sign for a declaration of war that quick whenever the right moment is there to strike. Whether it's Patriot missiles or not, the threats have been made. Putin has now called it a war, and this is definitely something that has been preset and planned. And the right people are coming into our governments to make some of these changeovers at the right time. But in your life, you should pay attention to how you're going to deal with this ever-changing world. Jupiter in Aries is the beginning of a new Jupiter cycle. And this is for that 0 point in Aries, which is universally recognized on the world as the start. This is a new start in your life, a new story, and all these big karmic pieces of specially destined pieces and the Dharma that you are writing here forward. And to be smart right now is not logistically smart, but looking at every fact and then looking at the other side of the facts. And maintaining an understanding of strategy is important right now, while at the same time being willing to also take calculated risks in your life that are going to better your life. And Venus trine Uranus, the two planets that rule relationships, with the North Node being there, is our brightest spot. And that bright spot to me is what is the most positive. To see Venus in trine to Uranus here is allowing us to realize we need to all start to come together and to strategize together to deal with the craziness that this world's going through that many are still numb to. Jupiter just left Pisces. It was with Neptune. That hasn't happened since 1856, which brought on a civil war, which brought on propaganda on the highest levels. What you've been watching over this last week has been on top of the biggest propaganda, but has been the cherry on the top. And we just saw it in the weirdest way. And this is not about left or right. We're seeing it on all of it. That it's all been a movie that has been set up, and all this energy, especially that Mercury is on this new moon right there, where it conjuncted Saturn, Pluto, and the Sun in Ceres on January 12th of 2020 that changed the world. This is not a joke. We are closing the chapter we all want to close, but that doesn't mean the book's closing. Chapter 2 is birthing. And chapter 2 in your story in your life is birthing. Of all these big things, and take everything from Pluto as it's begun its ingress into Capricorn in 2007 to now. And start putting those pieces together in your life of what you've been learning about who you could be. Remember, Jupiter was in Aries in 2010, conjunct Uranus, came in, and then retrograded back into Pisces. And then in 2011, we saw Jupiter in Aries again, and then Uranus, and we saw Fukushima. And so Pluto was in Capricorn then. This is the second time that Jupiter has ingressed into Aries with Pluto and Capricorn. And this is also after going and dipping itself back into its ruling sign. And so this is now where you have to start to remember, where were you at the beginning of 2011? What similarities are there? Strategize better. You learned a lot. I guarantee you there is a big imprint on your life on January 2011 that made you look at a lot of the effects and look at how it's affecting you now. And are you going to strategize better? Are you going to pay attention to what has happened? This is a huge moment with all this energy looking at Uranus. Not only the Ceci quadrant, Venus in trine to Uranus, Saturn finishing the square to Uranus, but even weirder, Jupiter in semi-square to Uranus. With Uranus being retrograde, with it being on top of the North Node, there's a lot about how to play your cards in a different way, to realize you have a lot of skills and talents, and the idea that you think that everything's going to be the normal route in your life and the way that you always play the cards and it will work exactly the way it always does is not the way it works anymore. You have to ascend, and you have to use your talents, your skills, and your abilities in a much bigger way, and you have to be able to step into the game of life or this matrix and not be afraid to get your way through this. This is definitely not a time for you to just think that everything's going to go back to normal and everything in life is just going to be just an easy going direction. These are energies that rule malefics. Aries rules Mars, or Mars rules Aries, and Saturn rules Capricorn. These are the malefics. This is energy where you have to step forward into life. We've had so much Pisces, so much Neptunian energy, and that has been making us feel fogged out and, drugged up. But I'm here to tell you that this new moon is about setting the intention of playing your cards right. You're going to have to get over sensitivities right now. You're going to have to play that confidence card smart and calculated, but more importantly, strategized. I do want to say I just was finishing on full disclosure here, and we were looking at America's chart. And I will say this with looking at the progressions, we are now at exactly today on this new moon, we are at a balsamic moon progressed, and the moon has now in this last couple of weeks entered into Pisces. We are 30 months of progressed moon in Pisces in America's chart. What you've just seen over the last couple days, we've never seen before. We've never seen a progressed new moon that will build over the next 18 months in Pisces. Remember that progressions are for every year that, whether in this chart, right, it's not a person, but the event of the Declaration of Independence, for every year that's gone by, you just move the chart by day. So this is just 247, let's say, 46 and a half days after that declaration. But it was a new moon in Pisces, and it will square the Mars that we do have in Gemini in America's chart. It will be a 30-month cycle of America on drugs is a good example, or very lost and not paying attention. We need to all be very aware of this. The last time we saw a very hard balsamic phase was the War of 1812. Now, thank God it was a sun in Leo and a moon in Cancer, and a new moon that did happen in Leo by the North Node in America's chart. But we have nothing down here in Pisces, and Saturn is heading towards the moon natal position of America's chart. Be prepared for what's coming up. Remember, Capricorn's about preparations. Prepare to have to be bold still and to realize that Jupiter's going to open up all the doorways if you're willing to walk through them, if you're willing to define them, if you're willing to get over your Chiron issues, your sensitivities, your weak spots. And it's not that you can't get to where you want to go. It's what are you holding yourself back? Why are you looking in the mirror and seeing what you don't like to see? Why are you so obsessed even with the image of what you think others might think? Maybe is it Saturn in Aquarius that's been worried too much and been holding yourself back about what others think? This is a very, very, very important part of our lives. And I know that it's Christmas and people want to run away to the holidays. Enjoy them. Deeply enjoy them. It will not be ever the same next year. It will never be what you've ever thought it would ever be like after this, holiday-wise. You can already feel that it's not even close to what we've ever even thought the feeling of a holiday would be. It feels like it just popped up, and we're all doing it because we have to. For some, they might still be in the Jupiter-Neptune energy or getting ready for what Saturn and Neptune will do in Pisces. I wish the best, of course, for everybody, but I also want people to realize that this is not a joke. And I'm not afraid to put out there the warnings that people on the left, the right, and all the people that you think that are on your team and all that stuff, you need to pay attention to, that they are going to do everything they can to make you believe into war. Uncle Sam is coming back. And everything that is happening on this Christmas while you're at home thinking everything about the new year is not going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. The year will look like, the world will look like, and you need to prepare in a way that you need to be strong, confident, and strategic, and pay attention and be disconnected. Saturn Aquarius is telling you to be disconnected enough to understand the players and understand the people and find the people that can see the same craziness going on in the matrix right now. We are all brothers and sisters in this one, so we can't be against each other. But there are people at these other levels here that are convincing so many of our brothers and sisters that they have all the power and that they're going to do all these things. And people with Mars retrograde, we need to be able to, especially in Gemini, speak up. You can't be afraid to speak up. You can't be afraid to bring up the inconvenience of truth. This is Mars on Aldebaran. This is Archangel Michael. This is God's military commander. Go read Mars Aldebaran. You will see that in order to defeat the dark right now, it is through truth and it is through the inconvenience of being somebody who has the confidence to say what nobody will say, even if it is inconvenient 2 days before Christmas. And it's pagan holiday. And is it Santa Claus that you're worshiping? Is it Jesus or is it St. Nicholas? I forgot which one. It's not ever going to be the same again after this. Pluto and Capricorn is traditions die too. And with this one having so much that we saw with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction and with everything that we're seeing right now, it will never be exactly the same. Even George Washington under this Christmas was praying for a miracle after so much was lost at the beginning of the war at the end of 1776 with Pluto at this position. Remember, these are the times that try all men's souls. And for you to realize that you have the power of God, you have the power of not letting your sensitivities and not letting your weaknesses within you, and being able to look at the world from a different place and see that God is giving you some very unique ways to get around all this stuff with that septile that we saw with Saturn to the Sun on the ingress of the Sun in Capricorn. And I'll still call it a septile with that 51 degrees to that 21 degree Saturn in Aquarius. But Saturn isn't out of shadow yet. Mercury is shadow. And it's in its pre-shadow, right? It's about to go retrograde. And you need to really not just throw yourself to the wind and try and just, I want to take all the time off in the world, from the economy to everything that is happening in our lives and the restructuring we're seeing. We need to all be aware and structure ourselves, and our collective needs to be more in contact and more speaking with each other about ways of how we're all going to work together to get through these things and not buy the biggest propaganda war message that's going to make Uncle Sam and all those posters back in the late 30s that started to begin and early 40s. If you saw what they did about an experimental shot, what do you think they'll do about a war? Merry Christmas, by the way. Oh, boy. Not one person by party is your friend at this moment. Not one. Only the people that will not follow this craziness. So, let's see. Card for this new moon. Judgment card reversed. I don't think we could have pulled a better card. The Judgment card is, it's the angels calling, right? It's the trumpet horn that calls, and we rise up from our coffins and we hear the calling in our life, and we go with that calling. And it's something bigger than us. It's something that's a higher calling from the divine to us. But with this reversal, this reminds me of how many people are just sitting down with their mask on their chin like a chin strap, walking into a store to go buy some gift and think that that's going to save their happiness in their life today, and are going to do their typical understanding of what they think the world will be like, and not hear the higher calling to bring new resolutions, and more importantly, know how to weave through the maze and be more strategic and be more aware and more on top of things. And then I know there's a ton of us and a ton of other people out there that are doing this work and that understand what's going on. And it can be frustrating, but we can't be frustrated at each other. We have Venus trine Uranus. We have to know how to all help each other out and work together. And we all need to clear our crazy programmed beliefs, convictions, political convictions, and all that at this moment, so we can all make sure that the decisions that come forth don't fully go through, that are going to be bad for the world and bad for this planet. And they're not the stuff that you've been told on TV, right? They're not the stuff that they say is bad. All the stuff that really is going to happen is going to be way crazier. And this is definitely the time to prepare. It's definitely the time to realize it's a new dawn and the light will always win. Mars on Aldebaran, though, is war. It's a war against the dark. And you're going to have to step into it. So the clarifying card to this Judgment reversed. The Page of Swords reversed. Don't lie to yourself. Don't keep thinking, I'll figure it out eventually. Don't keep waiting on some new message. Mars is retrograde in Gemini. Stop using your mind. Stop doing what everybody, the way you're supposed to, the way you think it should be done. Do it the way that you know deep in your destiny, the way that you know in your action. Anytime you feel like something's off or something's weird, guess what? It's because you're not acting. You're sitting. When you're sitting in your bed, when you're sitting and you're thinking, and you're not moving forward right now, and you're not paying attention to how to shore yourself up from everything from economy, like I said, to the weird changes in the world that are going to be weirder than you've ever seen in your whole life. You thought the last 3 years was bad or weird? That was the lobby. So it's time for you to start thinking about what's the best for you to be okay through 2023. That's why I'm doing my 5-year prediction, and it's no coincidence, but it's also exactly what the Eye of the Vulgar is about. And people are not even understanding what vulgar means. That's why I even say, what did vulgar mean during the Renaissance and the 1500s? Didn't mean the same exact way that you think vulgar. Oh, that's vulgar. A much deeper meaning. I dare you to look it up yourself, or even go look at the progressions of 1812 into 1814 when the White House got burned on October 24th or August 24th of 1814. And to not think that invasions are not possible in these times, and maybe even invasions that we've never even processed or thought of before either. I appreciate you all so much. Would love to see you for the event on New Year's, of course. My reading sale is at, right now, they're going fast. Really fast, because I did it on High Vibe first. So, and if you want to go through Hypergate and know how to work through the matrix using astrology and Nostradamus's tricks and John Dee's tricks and all the crazy tricks that I've found and come up with, and bring it all together in a way you've never seen before, it's on sale right now at highvibe.tv. Click on school. And you'll see it in the schools. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And of course, I'm here every day with so many others on highvibe.tv or apps. Take care.